say hello to Norman for coming on the show. Thanks for coming on the show, Norman. You used to
that was great, mate. I love everyone.
You
know what I mean?
You used to be the governor. Could you tell us about your story, how you got into fighting?
My old man used to have a club down Aylesbury Boxing Club. And, well, first of all, I got beat up down South Court. I was about 8 years old. I think it's Fritz Simmons, Fritz Simmons. I had a row with the boys, and they had an older sister. And I thought I owned Paxton Road. I thought I was the toughest boy down Paxton Road. At the time, it was a lot of Irish lived on South Court. Now it's Asian, and it really, they've done the houses up nice. It really does. They spent a lot of nice. The houses are really nice now in South Court. They were anyway back in the days in the 60s. But there was a lot of Irish, and they were tough. Straight over from Ireland, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had a row with some boys, some brothers, and it was the sister come out, and she beat the fuck out of me. I've never been beaten up before.
Hey, all the fault. Oh, the sister come out and beat you up.
The sister beat me up. Well, I didn't know how to fight. Even now, my wife beats me up because I don't know how to fight with a woman. I suppose it's not in with me.
Right.
If she hadn't got a haircut and spoke with a husky voice and had an airy chest, I would have had a fight with her back. But it was a girl, so it just didn't sink in,
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I made a mistake. I got up and she beat me up again. And I got knocked down, you know what I mean?
Right.
She come from, it wasn't just a normal girl. She come from a tough Irish family, you know what I mean? And, God, I think I had a blood nose. I think I had scratch points, you know what I mean? She stuck her claws. I think she laid the boot into me when I was on the floor as well. I've never had a hiding like that before.
She sounds like one of them you need on your side.
I think I needed her. But mind you, her brothers, Fritz Simmons' brothers were tough enough. They were tough boys as well.
Right.
And I was just showing off. I thought I owned Paxton Road, So I got a little bit cocky. Even at 8 years of age, I thought I was the governor, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that taught me a lesson, I learned then to keep your fucking mouth shut, you know what I mean?
Right.
I learned then, you know what I mean? That, do you know, I've never had one against a woman. In pubs and clubs, when you go to break a fight up, there's a woman there, and she lashes out at you and stuff. I've never had the bottle to slap her back or throw her about or anything.
Right.
So when I used to go to break the fights up, if the woman used to slap me, just carry on as normal, just ignore it, you know what I mean? But I've never been able to fight a woman. They've always beat me up, you know.
Back to the boxing there, Norman. When was the first time? Who's the one who got you into the boxing then?
My father at the Aylesbury Boxing Club. He run the Aylesbury Boxing Club.
Right.
He was a tough bloke. I can remember the last fight he had on the street. He was against a good boxer. It was against Timmy Collins, 3 times ABA champion.
Right.
He's still, he's in his 70s now, but he used to take his fights into the street as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had a reputation. He was tough, but he was only a small fella. But he used to do the doors and everything, you know what I mean? And when I worked on the doors with him, I could scream and shout and calm people down and try and break the fights up. But the old man used to knock them out. He says, I'm only 5'4", you know what I mean? He said, if I start shouting about, they look down to me, So he used to bang them out. My brother was just as bad, he used to bang them out as well. But I used to try and level things out. But he had Aylesbury Boxing Club. I was like every ABA champion, I was, yeah. I used to box for my own county. Novice? Well, no, ABA, no. Yeah, the home county was ABA, yeah. And the novice, that was ABA as well. So I was like heavyweight ABA champion.
Right.
And I used to go, they used to pick me out, my brother boxed for the army. No, he didn't box, but Dad boxed for the army. Right. My brother boxed for he boxed for England. Pete Garnish, I remember that from Tame. We boxed on the Tame a few times. Then we boxed I boxed over Milton Keynes, Bletchley Royals, and that was AB Goldsmith. And I can remember my coach all the way through it. I had a combined service champion train me up. He was only a lightweight, a welterweight. He was, oh, Jesus. Joe, what was his name, darling? My mate Joe. No, is it? What's it? Oh, Jesus. What's my mate called? One with the one eye. Billy Hutchison. That's it.
Yeah, right.
So he was the best. He was the best in the Army, the Navy, and the RAF. And wherever he fought, anywhere in the world, it would always be the best, like the best there.
Right.
But because he was in the he was in the RAF at the time. Obviously, he couldn't get out of the RAF to turn pro.
Right.
But he'd had over 200 fights, nearly 300 fights, I think. And you could just see him. You could look at him. Even now, people love him in Aylesbury, like, you know what I mean? He's people like, he was doing the door up to a few months ago, like, you know what I mean? And he was only small, only about 12 stone. Obviously boxing at about 9.5 stone, but he wouldn't stop training. Very, very powerful. And he was my coach, and you couldn't complain if you got a broken knuckle or fucking your head was hurting you or you've been run too far, because there was no stopping for him. He was combined Army, Navy, and, you know, he'd push you all the way, like. And he was a lot lighter than me, so he could sprint a lot quicker than me and run up hills a lot quicker. Nice. But I loved him to pieces. He's still about now, like, you know what I mean? And the old man was good. I found with the old man, after fights, the bloke would have more experience or a bit more, you know what I mean? He didn't, like, some of the places I boxed, like up in London, like, it's pathetic because, you know what I mean, as a prize fighter, because they'll give you someone like 2 stone heavier or 2 stone lighter, an ex fucking British champion, what was ex-professional, like, you know what I mean? And they'll put a complete novice what's never had a fight in with them, like, you know what I mean? But my old man was fair, you know what I mean? You like that up there? Yeah, see that up there?
A complete mismatch.
Yeah. But what it is, my dad come from the, well, we were Bucklands, they're travellers anyway, but we come from Coopers, Gypsy George Cooper and Gypsy Jack Cooper. And that goes back hundreds of years, like, you know what I mean? So they're already governors, like, you know what I mean? And my old man, he was anyone, you ever speak to anyone that knew me old man, they'll tell you he was a lovely fella, like, you know what I mean? And my brother, he used to knock all of his opponents out. So we got raised in Aylesbury, like, we used to do our fighting in Aylesbury. But to begin with, they used to call me Norman the Doorman, because I do all the doors. But it was only local around Aylesbury and Tame and Oxford and that. Then we expanded a little bit more into Milton Keynes. And I was in Milton Keynes for a long time. Peaches, The Point, all the clubs there in Milton Keynes, I was there. So it turned to Stormy Norman. And someone will be talking about me. We got a bloke in Aylesbury called Norman the Doorman. But we got a bloke called Stormy Norman, so they called me Stormy Norman the Doorman. Then towards the 80s, it was governor. Because I never lost the fight. I said, I've got a gym down the bottom here, like, you know what I mean? Yes. And 2 years I've been out of action. I've had to have an operation, and I don't know if you can see that there. It cut open for me, like, and had the chest out and everything. So I've not really been out. But the boys still come down. I used to have a lot of the travellers come down there. I think the toughest ones I had were the Paddy Duran's boys from Western Turville. What's it called their site? Ponyfield, I think it's called. Right. And 3 of them used to come down all the time, and it didn't matter if it was night or day. Sometimes they'd bring their mates down, like, and you'd aspire with all 3 brothers at once. Like, it was Impossible, like. But I used to do it. But after a while, they were all right. You know what I mean? They didn't take the piss, like, you know what I mean? But these boys were naturally come from fighters, and they were top hard nuts. They were, like.
I think when you do it, Norman, you get into these fights, and you have fights like myself. I've had a few fights myself, and once you start establishing yourself, people respect you. You get more respect off them when you go.
This is what happened. Yeah, at first, it used. Oh, Jesus Christ, we used to kill each other down there. Then after a while, like, they used to bring other travellers down there, and they'd be okay, like, especially when it's brothers, because, you know, if you start hurting one brother, then the other brother will get and give you a slap. And if you hurt the other brother, you know what I mean? And they can all turn on you. But I found out that travellers are a bit more tougher to spar with, like, you know what I mean? It's in their blood, like, you know what I mean? They're tough boys, like. But we used to get pros down there as well. Barry Bennett. Oh, there was a lot of boys who used to turn up down the gym, and they'd turn up any time. But you know, it didn't matter if I was in the bath or I was having a dinner. I'd still go down the back there and spar, like, you know what I mean? So they used to call me governor. I think that it's the Roy Shaw and the Lanny McLean and that, and the fact that I never lost the fight. And at times I'd have to travel all over the country to go to work. If it was the raves, we used to do the raves all over Sunrise, Back to the Future, Ribena, Outer Scout. And the groups were fantastic. I mean, you know what I mean? There was Queen. I can remember I even minded for what are they called? They come back in the late 70s, 80s, I think. The Monkeys. Remember the Monkeys?
Yeah, I remember the Monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah, I was minded for that. It was crazy because they didn't need minders. And another one over Oxford Apollo. That was Shaky Stevens.
Yeah, Shaky
And every time I put out the minds of Shaky Stevens, people pissed themselves laughing, like, you know. But you know, it was an earning money, like. And when I do the clubs and the pubs, sorry.
Yeah, in them days, I used to work the doors myself without Bernard Manning on, because there used to be acts then. There wasn't just DJs. You'd have tributes on acts, Shawadi Wadi, Mud, all them type.
Yeah.
All them type of people looked after, and we had good fun because they were celebrities, but they were nice and were down to earth. I remember working on the door one night and Bernard Manning turned up, and I was 24, and I was huge. He went, "I want that big bastard after me. I want him fighting to me."
Yeah.
Well,
we started off in the early days at Civic Centre in Aylesbury. And they used to have the groups in. I mean, one of my mates, I love him to pieces. Then, oh, Jesus, my names are terrible. Dennis, what's his name now? Leroy Dennis. And he used to be Howard Jones's mind in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Remember Howard Jones?
Yeah.
He come from over... Where did he come from? Where was that hospital I went to? Darling? No, the other hospital. High Wycombe. He come from High Wycombe. And Dennis Andrew and Leroy Dennis done 3 world tours for him, like, you know what I mean? But Leroy, he was covered in... He's a black fella, like, fucking... I'm not racist. Oh, I love the blacks and the Asians. I'll be honest, I love everyone. I don't... And what you'll find through me, I won't disrespect, I won't slag it, I won't, even if there's someone I really do hate, I haven't got a bad word to say against them.
Well, I think what it is, Norm, you're the same as me. It doesn't matter what religion you are, it doesn't matter what colour you are, it's the way you act towards people and the way you portray yourself. And if you're polite and nice to people, then that doesn't matter what colour they are. You know, there's nothing there.
I love everyone. If they don't like me, then I don't lose those things. I freeze over hate and anger. It uses a lot of energy and it can cause a lot of depression.
Yes.
So what you've got to do, you've got to let that go. You know what I mean? You've got to let it. And if someone hates you, like, let them hate you, like, you know what I mean? And don't hate them back, because that's when they're winning, isn't it? That's when people win, like, when they've got you.
Another thing, silence is golden. If somebody can't argue with you, they can't argue with you if you don't talk to them.
And they'll end up going mad, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's why we do a lot. You know yourself with people for mental illness. A lot of people, like myself, I went through it. So no matter who you are, you can get it at any time. And a lot of people suffer in silence. Mike Tyson come out with, Tyson Fury come out with it, Frank Bruno come out with it. It affects people different ways. And when you're a big tough guy, it's hard to come out and say, well, I suffer from mental health, because people think it's like, no, but I think you have to come out with, Norman, to get better.
You've got to, come out. I mean, without my wife, I'd be lost, like, you know what I mean? It's not because she's a Filipino woman or she you know what I mean? My ex-wives are English. It's just that she's a good woman.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, she's come home and like,
Yeah.
If I've had to live in hell half my life and suffer, then the end of it come out with Nanette, my wife.
Yeah.
Then I didn't mind suffering half my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you know, every day I wake up happy, cuddled up to her in bed.
Well,
I mean, that's beautiful.
I think when we were doing all them things, fighting every day and doing this and doing it, you're young and daft, we all grow up. But when you look back at it, really, we weren't living, it was just an existence. Now we're living because we've got beautiful women with us. My wife's like, lovely. I get up and I look back in bed and think I've got a beautiful wife to get up to tomorrow, and I bless God. I say to God, thanks for the blessing, you know, and live every day as if it's my last day, because one day it will be.
Yeah. You know, we're the same. We're the same sort of person, like, you know what I mean? And on the, is it 21st of August, is it? We're meeting up?
Yeah, we're meeting up 21st of August for the fight, for the anti-knife campaign.
I can't wait. I love meeting people. I love the camera. I love, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's great, you know.
If
I can make someone happy. If someone wants a picture with me, I'll let them take 1,000 pictures. Sometimes I say, you can't talk to me unless you have a picture with me, like, you know what I mean? And I love it, you know what I mean? It's diamond, like.
Yeah, it's great. Well, people you see your eye always go in and smile and laugh and joke to people. It makes them feel at ease, and then just start. Yeah. I'd rather smile because it takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown. So why waste it? Yeah. We're going to be walking Gary Fairby in the ring. So
that's right. Yeah. Gary's lovely. I've watched him since he was a youngster, boxing like. Yeah. And I can remember. I mean, even when he in his late 20s, he was about 13 stone and about 5'10", but he would fight anyone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He would fight anyone, any ex-professional boxer, any prize fighter, any top amateur. He didn't care, and I used to look at him, and he used to enjoy it. But the point is, straight after the fight, he was back to a lovely person. Yeah. Before the fight, he was a lovely person. He wasn't evil. He wasn't nasty. Although in the fights, but he used to counter punch. I used to like watching him box because he could attack. He could counter punch. He could, you know what I mean. He loved it as well. He loved it. And I thought one day he would deserve to be the governor, like, you know what I mean. Yeah. And he's the governor now. He's got the Stormy Norman Buckland belt. Stormy Norman Buckland, I told you, that comes from years on the door, years of bare knuckle fighting, years of sparring, years of fighting. Like, I mean, when I moved up to London, I only had a handful of fights. That was at Caesar's Palace, like, you know what I mean? Because I didn't really. Joey, the old man Joey Powell was lovely. I loved him. Everyone loved him. And after he died, things weren't the same, like, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of us went our own ways, like. I mean, Dave was fucking. Courtney was he used to show me off. I used to love that. I used to love being showed off, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think when the old man Joey Powell passed away, everyone started going their own way, like, and it was a shame. But you know, there was no one to hold everyone together, like.
He was like, he was probably like the glue that kept everyone together.
He was the godfather, you know what I mean? And meeting him and meeting young Joey Powell and the rest of the boys, like, was fantastic. Because I got to meet Freddie Foreman. I went on tour with Freddie Foreman. Yeah. And I learned, you know what I mean, that he's like, he's a godlike. Freddie Foreman's a godlike, you know what I mean? And he is a lovely bloke. Forget about, he did take care and he did put a lot of people out of the way, like, you know what I mean? He's actually a lovely bloke to talk to. He's a lovely bloke to be with. He's such a, you know what I mean? He's fantastic, like, you know what I mean? And there was, you know what I mean, the Lambranos and there was everyone, like, you know what I mean? And I was grateful to meet them, like, you know what I mean? But I was never a gangster. I was never a drug dealer or never, you know what I mean? I at the time when I was young and I used to fight people, I used to want to go a bit further than hurt them, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I might have shot at a few people, but I couldn't. I in the ring boxing, I had that killer instinct, but I never wanted to kill anyone, like, you know what I mean? Because as a kid, like, my brother used to tell me, if you ever kill anyone, you go to hell. Yeah. So there was that little thing there where it was wrong to kill. You know what I mean? Although I used to get a temper on, like, and I mean, in some pubs and clubs, like, I was taking 5 or 6 people out at once. But
what was
I didn't tell him I got beat up by a girl once because they'd fucking laugh. But
what
you
was
know, it's the way it goes, isn't it?
Roy Shaw like? Because Tina was saying, yeah, you got on well with Roy. He
I
really,
love Roy Shaw. You know, I can remember we had a great fighter from Milton Keynes, schoolboy champion. You know, his fucking name's gone now. No, it's Charlie Johnson. Charlie Johnson. He was knocking out everyone. A boxer, he was. He was knocking out, but he was only a kid, only about 17, 18, and he'd upset someone. And they brought, I've met him, Gary Shaw. Is it Gary Shaw?
very sure, yeah. Is that, yeah.
Roy Shaw's son.
Yeah.
They brought Gary Shaw in, and if it didn't come off my mate, I would have never believed it, like. But Charlie bottled it, and I said, "Why'd you bottle it?" He said, "Fucking hell, Norman." He said he was only a youngster, about 18, like, and he needed a telling off, and Gary gave him a good telling off, like, but he's never backed down from any fight. He said he was like, well, just like his dad, Roy Shaw, and he does. When you talk to him, you can see his eyes changing. Yeah. And I've got respect for Gary. He is a lovely bloke. He never talks out of line, and he's a hard nut, just like his dad. And I followed him a bit, like, and he would fight anyone, like, you know what I mean. But what I found about him, he was a gentleman like his dad. I mean, Roy.
What was
Roy was a gentleman. Very humble.
We'll have to talk about the other one because the top two was the other one was Lenny McLean. What was he like? Did you know him?
No, I bumped into him a few times. We had trouble, a Prince concert up in London, like, with the security, Wembley security. Yeah. And I was working for Vic Bellamy. I was mining for Vic Bellamy, who was looking after the merchandise. And that was a lot of turnover, a lot of money, the merchandise. You know, I mean the merchandise in Wembley Arena. Before that, we'd done the other funny fella, like, in the big Wembley place. That was Michael Jackson, wasn't it, like? But I don't like mentioning him so much now because of everything what's gone on, like, you know what I mean? But I mean, the first thing I'd done before they were famous was Bros. I bet people better come and say hello. Come here, Siobhan. This is my daughter. She follows me everywhere. Say hello, darling.
Hello. You okay?
Buckland.
So you've got two great women behind you.
Yeah. She used to come down when I used to spar with the Travellers and that, like, and some of the tough boys, like, you know what I mean? She used to bring a little bucket of water down the sponge. Right. And she used to sponge off. I said, what about me? I'm the old man, like, getting beat up here. You sponge me that she's going, Dad, you're a bully, you are. Yeah. And they all like it. I owe it a lot to the Travellers because I brought the 2 youngest ones up since they were children, little babies, like that was Elfie and Siobhan. And now and again, I had to get out to work, bless me, like, you know what I mean? And I had no one to look after the kids. So I used to, is it called Ponyfield down there? Ponyfields in Western Turb with the traveller camps. Right. I owe those travellers a lot of respect, like, because they helped bring my kids up, like, they spent a lot of time down there, and they've done a good job. They looked after my kids. They might have brought them up a little bit too tough, but you know what I mean? And but she's turned into a little lady now. She's 17. She's changed completely. But I found out with my first daughter as well, Kathy, when she was 15 or 14, you couldn't control her completely off her box, like. But now she's turned into a lovely. She's married a Muslim fella, like, lovely. One of the best son-in-laws I could ever have, like. And the kids are Muslim, like, but they're proper people, like, lovely, like, you know what I mean? And she said she loves it, and she said thanks, Dad, for never being like a racist or anything, like, you know what I mean? She said it's because of you've never been racist. That's why I'm so happy. Yes. So it pays off not to hate.
We're all God's children.
We're all God's children. Yeah, and Roy's daughter as well, like, you know what I mean? She was lovely, a beautiful girl she was, long black hair. And the way her daughter was, she was putting lipstick on, like, she said, Dad, do you want some of this lipstick?
Yeah.
And bless him, towards the end, like he was getting old. You know what I mean? Forgetful and everything. And he only had one Rottweiler then. I loved his Rottweiler. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened to him when he died, like, but if I ever get a dog, like, you know what I mean, it's gonna be a Rottweiler, just like him, 2 Rottweilers, because I had a lot of respect for him. Lenny, I met him up Wembley Arena, and I had a row with the security there because I was allowed to go everywhere, like, you know what I mean. And I was allowed to check all the merchandise, you know what I mean, the T-shirts, anything. They were coming out with hats and bloody socks and everything, like, you know what I mean. And they didn't like it because, you know what I mean, I had more clout than they did, like, you know. I was minded for Vic Bellamy, so I could do what I want. And they didn't like it, like, and they weren't too bad with me. It's some of the boys with me, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember one of the boys was Michael Dick. He's a professional boxer from Aylesbury. I think he was a lightweight, no, middleweight. And they'd come on strong. There was a lot more of them, right? Bless them. They're just doing their job, but they had the ump. And he threatened to fight them all, right? And I said, well, look, lads, I said, I don't fancy a chance. I said, my mate is a pro boxer. And I said, he's my sparring partner as well, like. And I said, we'd rather just leave this and let it go, like, than fucking hell broken loose, like, you know what I mean? I said, because if you do start getting the better of them, like, some of our boys going to jump in and all your boys. And I said, the old Bill's going to, and I don't want to end up being nicked, like. But the Wembley security was good, like. But the next night, they brought this fucking bloke in, like. He looked so he was about 6'3", with a suit on, and his eyes, you know what I mean? They shone like that, you know what I mean? He was like that, you know, kept looking around at us, like. Yeah. And I thought, fuck me, he's got to be a professional minder. And I didn't know who he was because I hadn't seen him for years. He's packing on about 23 stone. And he just stood out a mile away, like. He didn't have to say anything. They reckon in the past he was a bit of a bully, like. But this night he didn't have to say anything. All he had to do was look, like. And I said, we was in a van, like. I said, boys, I said, we're in a bit of fucking trouble here, like. And I can remember his wrists from behind as he walked off, like. And he had great big, like bananas, they were hands, like, you know. And you could just feel it around him, like, you know what I mean? And I can remember the stare he gave me was the same stare as Roy gave me when we buried, when blessed him. Who got buried? Joe. What's his name now? Joey Poles, the old man Joey Poles. Yeah, I can remember young Joey was there. I stood with young Joey there, like. Yeah. And Roy Shaw looked around, but Lenny's it looked as though he wanted to kill everyone. Right. And that was enough to fuck most people off, like. Honestly, it was the governor's look, like, you know what I mean? And the people, this is what people say, like, they said, you're the governor as well, Norman, like, you know what I mean? But I never had one of their belts. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was just the governor because the people's governor, like, you know what I mean? And Lenny had this look, so he wanted to kill everyone. Roy Shaw had the same look, but it was more madder. He wanted to kill you, then cut your arms and legs off. You know what I mean? Right. The only amongst these legends, like, and I felt at home, like, you know. I mean, I see a lot of what was going on there, like, what was it called, like, a meme machine, like the backstage at the, you know what I mean, at the arena and everything. But I've never said a word, and I've never grassed anyone up, and I've never stitched anyone up. That's my motto, like, you know what I mean? And if someone wants to pull me down and rip the arse out of me, like, I will never pull them down, like, you know what I mean? I'll keep them on top and always have good words about them, you know, because I did have good days in London, like, you know what I mean?
But I seen your bottle go once with Judge Rayner.
Who's that?
Judge Rayner, when you were on there. Remember your bottle went on there a bit. On the TV show. Yeah, he's a nice bloke, wasn't he?
Who's that?
The Judge Rayner on the TV show.
Well, listen, I didn't stand a chance there, did I? You had you know what I mean? He was a judge And he was a judge, not only a fucking judge, a top barrister as well. Now, I knew if I went against him, he was going to tie me up and verbally beat me up and abuse the whole show. So I thought, no way verbally, mentally, could I ever beat this man, like, you know what I mean? So I'm going to have to, when he turned around and said, so, you're the governor. I said, no, you're the governor today, so it's your show. And I knew he'd probably rip me apart. But like yourself, years and years on the door, you can take it all day long, can't you? You know what I mean? Take it, and you've got to learn. And towards the end, when I come out of prison, I remember Tony Ash was one of the blokes I used to work for. And well, I worked for Tony a long time, looking after Nickleby shops and Milton Keynes, loads of clubs, and he used to work the raves. He used to always get me work, like. And this always stood out. He said, Norman, he said, we've got you a job in the manor, like. I said, yeah, okay. He said, Norman, do you believe in ghosts? I said, I've lived in hell half my life, so do you think I'm going to be scared of ghosts, like? And he said, well, it's haunted. The other two security guards have been chased off by some ghosts and that, like, you know what I mean? And it was a great big monkery, an old monkery manor, like, you know what I mean? And I just got out from doing, well, I got 10 years. I got 5 for one and 5 for the other, but they run concurrent. So it run into 5. It was 10 years, then run into 5 years. Yeah. Then I'd done 3 out of 5. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? I'd never been away before. And while I was away, my wife left me, like, bless her, like. I ain't got nothing against 2 of my ex-wives, because like Nanette says now, my wife says now, I'm a difficult man to live with. Right. So how can I knock any of my ex-wives, like, you know what I mean? I must have been difficult at times. I mean, I'm not an educated man, like, and I did go off the rails now and again, but I did love them, you know what I mean? I still show them a lot of love now, like, and Nanette, I love her to pieces, like. But he gave me this wet house, and in the morning, about 6 o'clock, I come down, right, and the caretaker was outside there. I said, hello, mate, all right, and he was white as a ghost. I said, you coming in for a cup of tea? He was fucking massive, it was. And he said, no. I said, why not? He said, no, I don't enter the house. I only go around, like. I said, why is that? And he was shaking, like, you know what I mean? I think the ghost must have chased him off as well. But they all seem to be all right with me. I don't have trouble with ghosts. Well, I don't know. Until I see one, if I see one, I'll probably shit myself, like. But this is what I got asked the other night. That someone. It's difficult for me to work at the moment because my what bone is it was gone? My stern is broken. I had to wait 18 months to get another operation to get the stern fixed, so I can't pick anything up. Hopefully, if it all goes well and I don't do anything stupid, after Christmas I can be back into training. Although I'll be fixing it next week.
I've had my operation and everything, but I try to go. You do too much. You can do too much and set yourself back a little bit. But
this is what happened the first time. Mark, I used to mine for a bloke called Mark, and he called me back to work, and he didn't even believe, like, you know what I mean? Because I was there looking after his house when it all happened to begin with, like, and. My wife said, no, you phone the doctor up, and he hadn't slept for 3 nights. So the doctors phoned me up and said, what's your heartbeat like? I said, I can't feel one. They said, you better come into the hospital, you better come to the doctors. And from there, like, they put me straight on a bed. I still had my work clothes on. I was moving great big metal gates for this kennel. Must weigh about £100 each. And I said, I've got my work clothes on, big muddy boots and everything, like. And they put me on the blood pressure. My wife was there. And everything else, and I could notice they were going pale. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can read people's faces, like. Yeah. And the ambulance come and whizzed me off to hospital, so I was there for about 3 weeks. But when I come out, I went back. I got asked to go back to work too quick, and the wires that were holding the stern together all broke. So I had to wait 18 months, have another operation, and I've just got there's a month ago. So I still can't really do a lot. But I really want to get back into training after Christmas. Yeah. Just hope everything goes well. You know yourself, you know what I mean? Well, rest can only heal.
Yeah. All your life, like we have kids till 30 years old, and you miss it every day. It's like someone going to church and not being able to go to church. Someone really, really, really. Yeah. So I'm sat in here my hands, I can't really, that hand moves, that one doesn't. I'm still paralysed, I can't really walk. But you miss the gym, because the gym's our church to us. The gym is where you get all that anger out. The gym is where you keeps your mind healthy, body healthy mind, and sitting about looking at a ceiling 24 hours a day does your head in. You have to be strong.
I'll tell you what, you've got to be strong in your life, you know what I mean? And believe me, there's a God. I mean, there's hundreds of gods, but when I pray to God, it's all the gods, like, you know what I mean? You know, on a bad day, even Allah, like, you know what I mean? A good day, God, and even a good day, it's Allah or God. It doesn't matter, like, you know what I mean? There's someone out there. There's something out there, and it will help you if you want it to help you, like, you know what I mean? You've got to believe in it, like, because if you don't, it's so easy for us to go down the right. I'm so lucky I'm still alive, like, because I should have lived this long, like, I should have been dead by now, like, you know. I should have ended up in the back of a box somewhere, shot or dead or murdered, or, you know what I mean? It's terrible. So really, I owe life now a big thank you.
Yeah, I say that.
I think we both do, don't we?
I'm lucky I'm alive, because all my other friends have been shot to death, stabbed to death, killed, murdered, and I've been tempted on my life and things. And there's somebody up there must have been looking after me, because I'm still here today. But I think we're here today because we're here for the anti-knife campaign. Myself, you, Ben Span, all the other guys, Tony, Terry Ellis. I say to kids, don't carry a knife, because if you carry a knife, you're going to take someone's life, and if you take their life, taking your own, you're going to miss your family. Going to jail is a horrible, horrible thing. You've been to jail, I've been to jail. It's a horrible place to be, away from your family and your loved ones.
And when you go to prison, it's not necessary you do the time. It's your mum, your nanny, your daughter, your aunt, your sister. They've got to get up to see you every week, like, you know what I mean? And it's embarrassing. If you've been in a bad fight and you seriously hurt someone, then, you know, they get stares on the street and pointed at the street. So this is what I found when I went to prison. It was my wife and children what done the bird. You know what I mean? And you can't get out of prison and help them or give them any money, right?
Yeah. If your daughter falls over, cuts her knee, you can't run over and help her, or your wife gets bad, you can't help her, you're worrying. And the thing is as well, them years you've lost, you can't bring them back. They've gone, them years. You know, so to me, prison is just a waste of time. I think to kids now, get yourself at college. My two nieces are at college, they're doing well. One's going to be a barrister, the other one's going to be in computers and things. And if you've got a trade, then you can fall back on it, Norman, you know.
Education is the way forward, like you said.
Yeah.
It's the way forward. Kids, don't worry about the gangster world. That's not there. Like, I went into it like, all total respect for the gangsters and everything, like, but I'd never kill, because it's that you can't do. I couldn't do that. Just couldn't do that. I could get in a fight in a boxing ring or in a street fight or a bare knuckle fight and beat someone half, but there's that what you stop. You think, you know what I mean? I could never. I had granddad, Gypsy Jack Cooper, bless him. The first time he killed someone, he got 6 months, and the second time he got chipped off to Australia. And my great grandmother, my grandma, they used to tell me the stories and that. Like, I had another one, George Cooper, but Jack Cooper. And I heard, like, I still hear stories about how he got on over in Australia and that, like, you know what I mean? But you can't take a life, you know what I mean? And that knife, it's my dad, he weren't scared of, I swear to God, like, he could have fought Lenny McLean and Roy Shaw, like. I'm not saying he'd beat them, but, you know what I mean? Because that's disrespecting them, like. But he would have fought anyone. But he said, Dad, son, watch the knives. He said, all it is one prick in the heart of that knife. And they're dangerous. They're really dangerous. When you pull a gun, you're in two minds to use it or not. Or it might not go off or whatever. But a knife, when it comes out, it hits. You know what I mean? When you pull a knife, you use it. And it's terrible. It's not good. It's nothing to be proud of. It's disgusting.
A lot of people do it to carry it to show off. We're asking for them. You might be carrying knives to show off, but if you get into a fight and that anger, you've got to pull the knife and stab someone, kill someone. And for the sake of 2 seconds, you're going to jail for 25 years. and that's it. You've lost family, everything's gone. You know.
Right, you've lost your family. You've let your family down. You've let your friends down. You've let everyone down by just pulling that knife out, like, you know what I mean?
Like you said,
just pull it. It's a nasty, cowardly thing, like, you know what I mean?
And like you said, later on in life, you might not think about when you're 20-odd-year-old, but when you get in your 50s, it comes back that you've killed someone.
Yeah.
You regret it every day of your life.
Yeah. I've always had that managed to stop, you know what I mean, on the line for that lot. But thank God, that must be God inside, you know what I mean? Must be God just saying, that's enough, like, you know what I mean? I've always gone up. I've never wanted to. That's why I've never pulled a knife, because I've never wanted to kill anyone, like, you know what I mean? And it ruins your life. It ruins your family lives. It's terrible.
I think, like, our old school would be like, if we had a beef, we'd say, right, I'll meet you on the fields, 6 o'clock, no place, we'll have a fight. Shake hands, forgot about us. Now it's 20 under 20 with machetes. Here's no fair fights. Yeah. And the thing is, you can't have bare knuckle fights and things like you used to. Cameras are everywhere now. The police have got that much technology now. You're just wasting your time.
Yeah. It is too much technology, and I think it's gone out of. You know what I mean? It's not knives. It's fucking not good at all. Like, you know what I mean? It's gone out of style. Like, you know what I mean? People are growing forward. The way forward is education. If you've got education, you're going places. 100%. If, like me, I was never educated, so it kept me back. That's why I've had a rough upbringing, like a rough past. Like, you know what I mean? I would do the doors, and when people used to play up, I used to think, I've got to feed my wife, I've got to feed my kids, I've got to feed my gas, electric, you know, mortgage. And that's why I used to get angry, like, you know what I mean? But that's only because I couldn't get no other job, like, you know.
Very good.
But I've been laid up for a while now, and I found out that a good woman and love is more of a treat in life than money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get people like you what can talk down to people now and explain to them, like, you know what I mean? That happiness is a condition of mind, not a result of circumstances.
Yeah, me and my wife have the same thing. Said, if somebody offers us £1 million each, or to live in a tent together, we'd rather live in a tent together. Because it's not all about 20 tellies, you can only watch one. You can have 20 beds, sleep in one. You can have 20 cars, you can only drive one. So it's being controlled. And if you've got a lovely woman behind you, like I have and you have, you go to bed, you're up happy every day and you're blessed.
Oh, I cuddle up to her every night. I cuddle up, you know what I mean? And it's lovely, like, you know what I mean? And she brings me my dinner, like, and she watches me while I eat my dinner. Yeah. And like I said, like, she's Filipino, but she could be English, Spanish, Irish, Italian, African. But it's just that she's I've been lucky, like, God has given me a lovely woman late in life. Yes. And no matter the hell I've lived in all my life, He's given me something right at the end, and I'm ever so grateful for that. And I'd go through and live go through hell again just to be with her, like, you know what I mean?
What you're saying now is, at the end of our twilight years, we've got a better life because we've got nice women who are looking after us.
Yeah. And you've got to, like, she says to me, I'm a difficult bloke to live with, like, you know what I mean? And she deals with that, like, and she knows how to deal with me now. And it's fantastic. I mean, I don't drink, don't smoke, I don't go out or anything, like, you know what I mean? I've learned in life, you know what I mean? I've learned in life, you know what I mean? Help people, you know what I mean? Help them. Just try and help them. And you be looked after like I have. You have. We've got a good woman late in life. Yes. So we owe someone something, like, you know what I mean? And if you can't show a little bit of love, respect back to the public, then you don't deserve to be, you know what I mean? Don't deserve to have a good wife. Yeah. Strange old life, isn't it?
But I say to people, don't think about the past memories. If they make you bad, they're going to make you bad every day. Just think about the here and now. This is life, what we've got now. We're talking. Forget about tomorrow. Forget about the past. Just live your life every day as if it's the last day.
Yeah.
So what was the what was the hardest fight you ever had, Norman, in the ring then?
The hardest fight, I think it was those travellers that come down. Some of the travellers were the hardest fights.
Right.
But they were done in my ring, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I only amateur fights. They were tough. The amateur fights, like, you know what I mean? Especially like ABA championship and fighting for the home county and all that. But there was a fella from Glasgow, or from up Scotland, McPhee. He wasn't a big fella, like, you know what I mean? And he come down to some of the clubs I was at, like, you know what I mean? And he fucking unbelievable, like, you know what I mean? I thought I would have knocked him over with a few punches, right? But
Yeah.
he was after just causing trouble, you know what I mean? I think he got paid to come down and deal with me, like, you know what I mean? It was all coming to a head, like, and I thought I could take him, like, you know. I'll be honest, like, me or you or any of the boys, Lenny McLean, Cliff Fields, anyone, you've got a year in your life. Mine was 25 years of age. And I honestly thought I was bulletproof and nothing could touch me. And I could honestly fight anyone and beat anyone. Yeah. But we all have that year and that month in our life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when someone says, you know, back in my day, I don't disrespect them because I was the same back in my day. We always have that 1 month or 1 year or something like that where you're at your peak. You can get up and go for a run for 2 hours, come back, train in the afternoon, spar with top professionals, like, you know what I mean? In prison, I was sparring with, Matt Legg. Now, he's a world-class boxer, he was, yeah. He was fighting, he come down here a week before he fought James Toney. And James Toney, Mike Tyson wouldn't even fight James Toney. Mind you, it was a bit an old Mike Tyson. But Holyfield fought him. And Holyfield, he beat Holyfield. Yeah. And Mike Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off, like. So I had Matt Legg down here. I used to train in prison, like, bare knuckle, like. I trained a few good boys in prison and turned out to top pros, like. But he would only fight the best then, like. But he only had a handful of fights. This was Matt Legg. And I said to him after, I said, fuck me, I said, you was going a bit hard, like, you know what I mean? I've still got the video now. It's probably one of the only little clips I've got, like. And you could see every punch was a knockout punch, except for the body punch. So I'd keep the guard up, but I used to let him hit me in the body. Because he used to say, I'm getting fed up with hitting you in the body. It's a waste of energy. You don't feel nothing, you know what I mean? And after, I said, you went a bit heavy then, like. He said, yeah, I'm fighting James Toney. And I didn't know who he was until I looked him up. Right. And he's five different world champions. So they were the boys, you know, I was fighting with on the street, bare knuckle, sparring, like, you know what I mean? McPhee, I found out Billy McPhee, he'd already killed 7 people before he fought me, like, you know what I mean? And, well, that's what they know of. He'd obviously killed a lot more people. But I sat down there one night and it came on a documentary about him. And I thought, was I really in that world, like, you know what I mean? And this is all over the country I was traveling, like, you know what I mean? But we used to keep, for some reason, he used to keep out of the way of the press a lot, you know what I mean? I used to keep my head down a lot. Of course, I was an educated man, so I couldn't, that's all I could do was the doors and everything, you know? But some of the boys I fought were the best there was, like, you know what I mean? McPhee wasn't a big lad, like, you know? But he was dangerous, and he was there to kill me, like, you know what I mean? He wasn't there to beat me up or anything. He got paid to come in and do the business on me. Right. But after that, then I realised who I beat after that, and the reputation started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like. Right. And when I met Roy, although I was already the governor, I already was the governor. People used to call Stormy Norman Buckland or Stormy Norman the Doorman, but it was the governor in the 80s. They decided I was the people's governor, and that was it. Like, they could put a gold crown on my head or a gold belt. It didn't matter. I was the governor, and that was it. Right. But when I met Roy, I wanted to be like Roy. You know, I could never be. No one could be like Roy because he's even like Lenny McLean. Like, I didn't know Lenny. I bumped into him a few times. Another time up Kentish Town, I was working at WKD Kentish Road, Camden, like. And I was with, who was I with? I was with Kevin Wilson, a big bruiser from Milton Keynes. Right. And now and again, I'd hang about with big bruisers, like, you know what I mean? Because they were nice, you know what I mean? And he said, that's Lenny over there, like. And he fucking, that was the bloke I see, like, back in the Prince day, like, you know. I still didn't know who Lenny was. I bumped into him a few times, like. And I don't know. People say he was a bully, he used to shout about a lot, and he was cruel. But the point is, I just see this big fella, what really didn't have to do a lot. Like, all he could do, all he had to do was stare at you, like, you know what I mean? And you'd go away and leave him, like. But I suppose this is what I've always said on the door when I've done the doors, like. I don't want to sit there and fight 10 or 20 people, like. I'd rather go in there and scream as loud as I can, and get the people to back off, like. Let them leave. You know, they must have thought I was a lunatic in my day, like. The manner I used to go into people. And when we was over Milton Keynes, the Golden Flamingo, I forget the old name of it. I always, when there used to be a gang, I used to charge the gang, put my head down like a bull, and run through them and knock them like Skittles all over the place, like. But this night, the security got in there before me, the doorman. They were our doorman. I was working for Tony Ash. And they was holding people, like, say, oh, for fuck's sake, Norman's coming, like. He's coming. And I shackled them as well, like. I knocked them flying as well.
Yeah.
But it did bother me because I could take a good eye at him, like, you know what I mean? And after, like, you know, 1 or 2 minutes, the odds are against you. I could come out of that good hiding and still have a huff and puff to dish it out, like, you know?
Yeah.
But it didn't really matter, like, even if you was against 5 or 6 people, and it ended up evens, like, you know what I mean? They wouldn't want to come back, and I'd be happy with that, like, you know what I mean?
I was going to say, did you ever? We had Big Joe Egan on the other week. Did you ever? Have you ever booked Joe?
No, I've met him, yeah, a few times. I've been, I was with him when I was with Freddie Foreman.
Right. A nice man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a lovely, big fella, like, big fella, big, he looks the part as well, you know what I mean? He's got a suit on, his hair and eyes and everything. Yeah. And he is a massive fella, like, a big fella, big hands. I think he had one pro fight and lost it.
That's right.
But he was an Irish champion. He had a lot of Irish fights. You know what I mean? But he was sparring partner with
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. So he's been there, like, you know what I mean? He's done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fair play to him, like.
He's a lovely bloke. Anything else you want to say before we go?
I think I've done enough talking, didn't I? I can't wait to get out there and meet you guys on the 21st, like, yeah.
Yes, we're going to be.
I love you all the pieces, like, and don't get involved in the naughty stuff, like in the fucking knives and drugs and that. Like, it doesn't pay. It really doesn't pay. And, you know, you get your reward, like, hopefully I did late in life by a good woman, like, you know what I mean? So, you know, you just got to try and be good and nice, kind. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you got anything, if there's someone you hate, you got anything to say nasty about them, then don't say nothing at all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I can't wait to meet you on the 21st, is it? And we're going to.
I fucking love you all.
Yeah. Walk out, get Gary Fairby in the ring.
Oh, Gary! Oh, what a fight! He's the governor. He is the governor. Yeah. He's got the Stormy Norman Buckland belt. Yeah. That's mine. What I carried before I even got involved in all the governor fights and meeting Roy and Lenny. You know what I mean? That was given to me, like, because the title. You know what I mean? Because I've never been beaten, and I was the best in the street. I was the best bare knuckle, and I you know what I mean? Yes. As an amateur, like, but even as a prize fighter, as a pro, like, I never lost the fight. I'm not saying I could now because the wife beats me up when I'm naughty, like, you know what I mean? And if anyone ever wants to fight me, if I come out of retirement, they can fight me as long as they don't bring their wife or sisters or any aunties or daughters.
To fight me,
so they fight me.
To fight me, my wife will fight them instead. And she'll win. If we need us, phone us anytime. Okay, brother. Love you in a bit.